Welcome to The Explainer. We're diving straight into something that's honestly a little mind-bending today. The hidden economics of streaming subscriptions. I mean, we all have them, right? We all pay for them. But the actual business model underneath these digital empires, it might just completely change how you look at your next credit card statement. We're going to break down the mechanics, the psychology, and the hidden data driving the whole streaming industry.
All right, let's dive into this. Section 1, the subscription illusion. Picture this. You set up a new account, punch in your credit card details, totally pumped for that new show everyone's talking about at the office, and then, well, life happens, doesn't it? You get busy, you forget. Before you know it, you're paying for a service you aren't even using. But how does the company on the other end actually feel about you going MIA? Well, you haven't opened Netflix in 3 weeks. They just charged you $15.49, and they couldn't be happier. Just let that sink in for a second. We naturally assume these platforms are entertainment companies that desperately want us to, be entertained. But this brings the macroeconomics right down to your everyday life. They just charged you. You haven't watched a single thing, and they're absolutely thrilled.
To really get why, we have to look at the sheer scale of the operation here. 260 million. That's the number of subscribers Netflix currently has worldwide. 260 million people paying a monthly fee. Now, with an audience that massive, you'd probably assume the app is just constantly buzzing with activity from every single one of those accounts. But the data tells a completely different story. Out of those 260 million paying subscribers, the average user actually only opens the app 3 times a week. Not every day, just 3 times.
Which brings up a really fascinating question. Every billboard, every push notification practically screams at us to watch. But from a purely structural business perspective, does Netflix actually want you to watch?
Actually, they prefer you don't. I know, it sounds totally counterintuitive, right? But it shatters the whole illusion. Here's the secret nobody really talks about. Netflix makes the exact same amount of money whether you binge a series for 10 hours straight on a Sunday or if you never even open the app for the entire month. Your behavior doesn't change your bill one bit, but it heavily impacts their bottom line.
Which brings us to Section 2, the cost of streaming.
To really understand why less watching is better for them, let's look under the hood. It's kind of like a giant seesaw. On one side, you have the 10-hour binger. This person is pulling down heavy data, requiring massive infrastructure, and literally costing the company significant money to keep that high-quality stream running smoothly. The revenue from this user? $15.49. Now contrast that with the 0-hour user. This person hasn't logged on at all. 0 data transfer, 0 server stream. The cost to the company? Basically 0. The revenue? Still $15.49. See, streaming is absolutely not free for the provider. Every single hour you stream eats directly into their profit margins. The hidden costs are huge. We're talking massive bandwidth requirements to push 4K video all over the globe, enormous server costs to house and deliver that data without buffering, and, this is a big one, licensing fees per view for certain content. Every time you hit play, a meter starts running on their end. But for the non-watcher, that $15 is pure, unadulterated revenue.
Moving right along to Section 3, the gym membership model.
To grasp the staggering scale of this invisible revenue, we got to look at how modern businesses brilliantly capitalize on our predictable human habits. Check out this 2023 internal data. Nearly 40% of paying subscribers didn't watch a single hour in an average month. I'm just going to repeat that because it's the anchor of this whole explainer. 40% of the people handing over their hard-earned cash used 0 hours of the product. They are literally the ideal, most profitable customers on the entire platform. Let's anchor that abstract percentage into something real, 100 million. That equates to over 100 million accounts worldwide paying $15.49 every single month for absolutely nothing. No movies, no docs, no stand-up specials. It's just an automatic deduction from a bank account in exchange for 0 utilization. The sheer scale of profit being generated just by human forgetfulness is staggering.
Now you might be thinking, hey, this isn't exactly a new concept, and you're totally right. Gyms have banked on this for decades. You sign up enthusiastically in January and completely forget about it by March. But streaming took that legacy model and absolutely perfected it. Think about it. A gym membership is physical. You see your gym bag in the closet. You drive past the building on your way to work. It actually induces guilt. But a streaming subscription, it's completely digital, invisible, automatic, and frankly, completely guilt-free. You just don't feel the same guilt for not watching TV as you do for avoiding the treadmill.
And that leads perfectly into Section 4, the invisible charge. This is where we get into a slightly cautionary point about the psychology of modern digital billing, which is very specifically designed to slip right past your financial radar. The anatomy of this charge relies on two key things. It's invisible and it's automatic. These companies have engineered a totally frictionless environment where the payment just happens without you lifting a finger. The charge appears, buried deep in your statement, quietly sitting there between a grocery run and a tank of gas. It doesn't scream for your attention because they don't want you to cancel. And as we've seen, they don't necessarily need you to watch either. They just need you to keep paying, month after month, humming along in the background of your life.
Which leaves us with this final, kind of provocative thought to chew on. How many subscriptions are charging you for nothing right now? I seriously encourage you to pull up your bank statements today before your next auto-renewal hits and just audit what's quietly draining your wallet. Thanks for hanging out with me for this explainer. Make sure you're subscribed because next time we are exposing an app that uses a totally different psychological trick, one that actually gets you to pay twice for the exact same thing. You're definitely not going to want to miss it. See you then.